Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 17. Divine Intervention. As the day on the natural disaster dragged on, things were business as usual. Johnny and Yosaku were training with one another in their own ways. Soren was keeping watch in the crow's nest, and Vivi was trying her hand at helping out on the ship by keeping it on course. Nojiko came from inside the ship and ran up to Vivi frantically, grabbing the young woman's arms. Have you seen Naruto-kun? Nojiko shook her frantically. I haven't seen him on deck all day. Calm down, Nojiko. You're making me dizzy, Vivi said, prompting Nojiko to let go of her. The princess stumbled around on the deck momentarily before regaining her balance. Someone had to have seen him today. Why is it such a big deal anyway? Because, Nojiko insisted, if he's not out here, or in the kitchen, or messing with one of us, I don't know where he would be. Miss Valentine stuck her head out of the door and addressed that. Naruto is trying to sleep in his room. Nojiko turned to her. How do you know? And I looked in there earlier this morning. He isn't there. It didn't look like he had been there all night. I even threw his Hiraishin Kanai sticks in his headboard and he didn't show up. Miss Valentine shrugged. I don't know what to tell you about that, but he is now. He poked his head out of his room in the common area a few minutes ago and asked me to bring him something if I cook. He looked half past dead too. It's actually kind of creepy. I didn't think he could look like that. Nojiko and Vivi looked at each other before heading inside and going into Naruto's room to see him for themselves. Upon opening his door, they saw him in his bed under the sheets, all covered up. His blue eyes panned towards them and he gave them a smile that seemed rather weak to them. Hey girls. You guys need something. Nojiko walked over and sat on his bed. Are you alright, Naruto-kun? She placed a hand on his forehead. Maybe he was sick. I'm fine, Noji-chan, just exhausted. I just got back not too long ago, Naruto said in reply, getting some surprise from the girls. Naruto was never tired, ever, not that they had seen. Vivi walked over and mimicked Nojiko's action to see for herself if he was sick. What do you mean? Just got back? How did you just get back? You were here when we left the last island. Where could you have gone after we left the island? We're at sea. Naruto pulled his bedsheets up to his neck. No, you saw a cage bunshin get on board and shut itself in my room. Did anyone check the room after that? No one had. Everyone had gotten back on board in a bitter mood after the encounter with the kid pirates. All they did was tell the girls about the people they had fought, but no one told them what exactly had happened there, and judging from their mood, none of the women pushed the matter at all. I had something to do on that island before I left, and it put me in this condition. I'm lucky I had enough chakra to Hiraishin back here before you missed me. Johnny walked into the room. You stayed on that island, Naruto and Ikki. I thought you were going to have your cage bunshin handle all of that. I did let them handle a lot of it. Naruto agreed for the most part, but there was something that I needed to be there for that a cage bunshin can't do. Johnny's sunglasses reflected in the light of the room. Like what? He asked. Flashback. The previous night. The destroyed island. The full moon provided enough light for Naruto's cage bunshin to sift through the remains of the village and find all of the bodies that had been concealed by the destruction of the village. Eventually his cage bunshin had scoured every inch of the place and had placed all of the bodies on the ground neatly in rows. That's all of them, boss. A cage bunshin remarked to Naruto, who was sitting on the rooftop of an unruined building over top of the scene with his eyes closed. His body was seated in a meditative stance as he had a serene look on his face. Naruto sighed. Thanks. You guys can all dispel now. I'm going to need every scrap of chakra I can get, and I can only keep 5 of you around at a time when I do this anyway. The clone took one last look at the deceased villagers and saluted Naruto before disappearing in a puff of smoke. With that being done, Naruto stood up and opened his eyes as orange pigment bordered his eyes, but as for the eyes themselves, they were no longer a deep blue, but now a light purple with a ripple pattern around the iris. Naruto cracked his neck to the side and rolled his shoulders out. The things I do for this world, Getu outer path. A large figure in the form of a massive head with its mouth open appeared from the ground in a spectral purple light. Okay, let's do this already, he muttered as he formed 2 hand seals and held the last one. Getu, Rinne Tensai no Jutsu outer path, Samsara of heavenly life jutsu. A green light engulfed Naruto's body and emerged from the mouth of the outer path Naruto had summoned. As the light continued generating from the mouth of the figure, it began to encompass the bodies of the dead villagers. "Come on," Naruto said, straining visibly, "hurry up." Naruto's hair began to gray and his features started weathering over and wrinkling. Eventually the glow stopped and faded from the bodies of the people, cueing Naruto to let go of the hand seal and drop to his knees on the roof, breathing heavily, his features slowly regenerating back to their previous youthful state, his hair slowly returning to its usual bright blonde color. Naruto let his body drop on top of the building as his eyes slowly closed with a smile on his face before he began snoring loudly. The villagers all slowly began to stir and look around as they were all certain that they were dead. They all took note of their ruined town and knew that what had happened wasn't a dream when they took notice of a young blonde man sprawled out on top of one of the still intact buildings. One of the village men shook their heads ruefully at the mysterious blonde before his attention turned back to his fellow villagers and their own current and pressing issues. "Some people will sleep anywhere." End flashback. Naruto met Johnny's sunglasses-covered eyes with his own and spoke firmly, "Don't worry about it. Now enough about me, the ship isn't going to run itself. I'll be up and about before you know it. You all need to keep things together until I get up." Johnny gave Naruto a long hard look before finally saluting him. "You've got it, Naruto Aniki." He turned around and left the room. If Naruto Aniki didn't feel like telling him, then that was that. There was nothing he could do to get it out of him. "Good man," Naruto said to him before he got out of sight and earshot. He didn't need anyone knowing that he could do that. If they knew that he could bring the dead back, the dynamic on the ship would change dramatically. They already knew he was stretching the borders of things that humans could do, as it were. If they knew about everything he could do without reason for them to find out, who knew what would change? As long as his crew learned a lesson from the fight with the kid pirates, he didn't need to tell them unnecessary things. The events from yesterday resonated deeply, especially with Johnny and Yosaku, who were downright miserable when they realized that even with all of that hard work they could still fail. But the setback was a learning experience for them, as they hadn't been forced to feel helpless like that in any fight since he had started working with them. If they had strong character, they wouldn't let that break them, and they would work harder to prevent anything like that from happening again. As evil as it was for him to keep the fact that he had brought them back to himself, he had to, or else the two swordsmen might lose their edge, and after seeing people like that existing on the Grand Line with his own eyes, he could not afford that to happen. Nojiko stood up and crossed her arms while looking down at Naruto. "Okay, what exactly happened on that island?" Johnny and Yosaku got up before dawn and haven't stopped killing themselves training until just now when Johnny came to see you, and Soren hasn't said 2 words to anyone since you guys got back yesterday. Naruto didn't really answer her. "All you need to know is that I need to get you stronger quickly." "Both of you," Naruto said, switching his gaze to Vivi. Vivi's face lit up. "So does that mean you're going to help me?" Naruto nodded. "Yeah, I feel like crap, but for what I need to do I don't need to be at full power anyway. The next island we reach we're going to see just what you've got." Vivi was kind of put off that he didn't think he had to be in peak condition to handle her, but she was still too excited about possibly getting trained by Naruto. "That's great. Where's the next island?" she asked Nojiko. Nojiko tapped her chin in thought. "If we keep this pace we should be to a small outcropping of islands in the next few hours." "Who's manning the helm?" she asked. Vivi paled and quickly ran back outside, as it was her own self-tasked job to learn how to control the ship. With Vivi gone, Nojiko's focus rested solely back on Naruto. She pointed down at him firmly. "You. Stop hiding things." "I will," Naruto said, resting his hands behind his head. "I'll stop hiding things when you need to know about them." Naruto stared right into her eyes and realized she wasn't going to back off about this. And he didn't feel like getting up and walking away with the condition he was in at the moment. "Fine, Noji-chan, you win. If I tell you one thing, will you just acknowledge that there are some things that you can't push out and just have to let gradually surface?" Nojiko sat in Naruto's nearby office chair and gestured her arms, inviting him to proceed. "Convince me then." Naruto sighed. "All right then. To save my home continent I had to mow through an army of grown and harvested human beings. Fight off a bunch of undead people that held a power similar to my own. Defeat my former best friend who turned to the brink of lunacy and tried to eradicate all life on the continent because he wanted them all to feel his hatred. Stop a madman directly related to my insane former best friend who tried to enslave the entire world with the fucking moon, and that power I alluded to has the potential to end all existence at naught but a whim if I were to let it loose. He then gave Nojiko a dry look. So what have you done lately? Nojiko just sat there staring Naruto with wide eyes, not knowing how to respond to that. All he had said thus far before this was that he had fought in a war. What the hell kind of war was this? Nojiko said vacantly. What? How? Naruto rolled over and shut his eyes. I didn't say I would tell you how all of this happened. I didn't even say I'd go into detail on everything. Do you know how long that would take to tell you? I just said I would tell you one thing. I lost count of how much I actually alluded to, but I was on a roll. Still, I think I made my point. Nojiko nodded dumbly. Well, yeah. Point taken, I guess. And there you go. Naruto said, you'll learn more when it actually needs to come up. Now either leave me to sleep and think about everything I just said for the rest of the day, or climb into bed and keep me warm, Noji-chan. Naruto didn't expect her to actually do the second thing, so when he felt her arms wrap around him and pull her into his back, all he could really do was smile. XXX. Several hours later. Unnamed Island. As the day began to wind down, everyone disembarked to see Naruto's test of Vivi. The island chosen for her little test was basically a rock that was large enough and flat enough to be considered an actual landmass. Naruto was kind enough to wait for Vivi to find a spot that was not entirely inhabited by jagged rocky upcroppings, and he let her do such so that he didn't wind up having her skinned by the rocks by the time they finished. Vivi was rather excited for the test Naruto was going to make her undergo. She was dressed white shorts that came right to her thigh, white-heeled boots that stopped just short of her knees, and a light green long-sleeved button-up blouse with thin blue diagonal stripes. All in all, she didn't really look too ready for a fight, but Nojiko never did either, to be fair, because right now she was wearing jean shorts and a deep V-neck sleeveless pink shirt with heeled sandals on. The only thing that ever really indicated that she was ready for a fight was the ever-present holster belt she always had around her waist that kept her sidearms with her, and the sometimes presence of the leather strap she would have over her shoulder that held her shotgun and rifle crossed up on her back. Naruto was still looking rather pale and out of it by the time they got there, but he was assuring everyone he was good enough to see what Vivi could do. All he really needed to do was to pay attention to see what she was capable of. Naruto stood across from her as she stroked Karu to prepare him for the fight. Okay, Vivi, Naruto said, holding a bell in his hand. The name of the game is to get this bell from me any way you can. I don't care what you do, I don't care how you do it. I just need you to take this from me one way or another, got it? The blue-haired princess nodded. It was straightforward enough. Are you ready to do this? He asked her as he tied the bell to a divot on his orange sash. Absolutely, she replied as she finished petting Karu. Okay Karu, let's get him. The spot-billed duck let out a determined quack to go along with Vivi's confidence. The princess got on Karu's back and pulled out her small sharpened jewel weapons attached to wires that she placed around her pinky fingers. All right, time to show him what we've got. Quack. Damn it Karu, don't sit down. Stand back up. Vivi shouted at the duck underneath her that took that moment to be a good time to sit down on the battlefield. Naruto picked his ear with a bored look on his face. Yeah, do you want to postpone this until you and Karu get your stuff together? Vivi, having finally maneuvered Karu to his feet, looked at Naruto with determination. No way. We're ready. Karu just needed to warm up first, right? Karu let out a quack, backing her up. See, we're ready for this. Naruto pulled his finger out of his ear and flicked what he mined out to the side. Well then, bring it before my feet start growing roots here, and remember. His eyes hardened on her. Come at me with the intent to kill. Vivi narrowed her eyes and growled at Naruto. All right, you asked for it, Kujaki Shinrei, Peacock Slasher. Vivi and Karu picked up steam and ran across the field at Naruto, who simply stood still and watched them rush him down. As she charged Naruto atop her speedy fowl, she began rapidly spinning her weapons, making them deadly slicing weapons. All of the others were sitting on the side watching the fight from a distance. Nojiko pointed at the sight of Vivi charging Naruto on Karu. Does she know that this is a terrible idea that doesn't have the slightest chance of working? Didn't she fight him before already? Miss Valentine laughed as she sat on a boulder to get a good seat. She didn't really fight him. He didn't even have to move, and she never really got to attack him, so he doesn't know. He's never actually seen Vivi fight. Yosaku was leaning against the boulder Miss Valentine was sitting on. Yeah, but we've seen her fight. Couldn't he have just asked us and saved some time? Naruto Aniki looks rough. He's all pale. He should be resting. Soren shook his head. If we explained it, we would have to do it 3 times for him to actually get it. This way he knows right off the bat her fighting style and how to fix her. Seeing things firsthand always works better for guys like Uzumaki. Vivi bore down on Naruto atop her duck and unleashed an attack intending to take Naruto's head off. Hey, he said to fight to kill. Well, she was coming at him full blast right from the start. Naruto simply stood in place and ducked under her slash, watching strands of his hair float down in front of his face as she passed by him. Well, she's very accurate. Damn it, we missed him. Vivi said to herself and her duck companion. Let's try this again then. It seems like the weaker ones won't work on him. She discarded her regular slashers and from around her waist brought out a pair of long chains that looked like Vivi's jeweled belt that also had a place for her to hold them on the ends with her pinky fingers. Naruto's eyebrows rose when he could see from the angle the sunlight was hitting them at. They were seriously sharp. Didn't see this before. Now we're talking. Try this on for size, Naruto. Vivi shouted at the blonde captain as Karu rode at him again. Kujaki Mojiritsu Shinrei, peacock string slasher. Before she even got close, she swung the chains out at Naruto, who spun through the attacks, keeping them from cutting into him. When he realized she wasn't going for him, he looked behind himself to see that she had managed to sever the rope he had for the bell. Okay, she's really accurate with those things. Vivi rode past him swiftly to grab the bell. Come on, Karu, we've got it. Karu placed his beak down and scooped up the bell, turning his head to the side to try and face Vivi to hand the bell to her when all of a sudden the bell was jerked out of his mouth. It flew back into the air right into Naruto's hand. Phew. That was close, wasn't it? You almost got it that time, he said with amusement in his voice. What? Vivi was shocked. How did he get the bell back? She had it right in her grasp, almost in her clutches. How did you do that? Naruto dropped the bell from his hand with his tongue sticking out teasingly and revealed that it was dangling from some of his metal ninja wire. You didn't think you were the only one that hooked wires to their fingers, did you? He snapped it back up and snatched it out of the air. Come on, you got so close once. Try it again, my dear princess, he said, swinging the bell around in a wide circle by the wire attached to it. Damn you, Naruto, stop messing with me, take me seriously, she said angrily, prompting Karu to charge him again. Get him, Karu. She's sweet, but prone to outbursts of anger, especially in situations like this, Naruto thought to himself, shaking his head as he saw her come forward. Did she think that would work 3 times in a row? Don't get upset, Vivi, Naruto said to her. It takes a lot to make me get serious. Vivi swung her enhanced chain slasher at him and gasped in shock when she saw it actually hit. However, when he burst into smoke and revealed a log that had been cut in half, she looked around for him. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. A single shuriken flew from behind a field of rock formations before turning into 20 in mid-flight that Vivi and Karu desperately maneuvered out of the way of before Vivi started swinging her slashers about rapidly to bat the rest away. Both of them were sweating bullets and breathing heavily at the prospect of the weapons hitting them and riddling their bodies once the salvo died down. What the hell? Vivi shouted indignantly to the entire area as Naruto was nowhere in sight. That could have killed us. You said take you seriously. Vivi's eyes fearfully panned to the side to see a grinning Naruto leaning on Karu. Well, your wish is my command. He kicked Karu in the side and sent both of them spilling to the ground, with Vivi flying off of him. Seeing her partner down and out, Vivi crawled over to the duck to find him knocked unconscious with swirls in his eyes. Oh, Karu, she said, you did your best. You want to quit? Naruto yelled across the field, still nonchalantly swinging the bell around tauntingly. Vivi stood up and dusted herself off. No way. You're not getting me to quit until I get that bell. Naruto grinned and caught the bell again. Good. Because if I heard you quit after that one fall, there was no way I was going to have anything to do with training you at all. Now come on, what are you going to do without Karu to maneuver around? Let's see what you've got, Vivi. To Vivi's eyes he blurred from sight. He was moving so fast and she instinctually ducked in time to avoid an open palm to the face before also cartwheeling away, avoiding Naruto's sweep to follow up. She stood back up and stared at Naruto in disbelief, who gave her a look of equal surprise. Wow. I didn't expect that one. Vivi blinked. Neither did I, honestly. Naruto nodded but got a smile. Well, at least I know what positive of hers I'm working on strengthening first. That was damn good agility and defensive mobility, especially for someone that seemed even more surprised than he was that it actually happened. Let's try that again. Vivi let out a short scream when she saw Naruto blur from plain sight again and quickly spun in a circle with her twin lengthened weapons, swinging them outward. Holy shit. Naruto shouted as he hopped out of their range before they could cut him in half. Are you sure you don't know what you're doing? The expression on her face showed him she didn't. She just did that on the fly. Oh yeah, this is going to work out just fine. I'm getting that bell, Naruto. Vivi said, snapping herself out of awe at actually still standing at this point. She swung both of her slashers out at Naruto, but they both missed on both sides of him. Vivi smirked and pulled hard on them, forcing them back at him from behind. Kujaki Mojiritsu Shinrei runback, peacock string slasher runback. Naruto felt them coming and jumped in the air over the first one, contorting his body in a barrel roll over the second one before landing back on his feet and patting his person down to make sure he still had all of his body parts. Damn it, he said, turning around and grabbing the bottom back of his long red sage coat that was now missing a segment. I just got this fixed not too long ago. Vivi furrowed her brow and attacked again. Naruto dropped his coat with a serious look on his face and brandished a kunai that he used to block the two weapons. He then threw the kunai right at Vivi, who hit the deck to avoid the projectile. When she retook her feet and stood back up, Naruto was right in her face. Vivi reflexively lifted her hand to hit him, or attack him in some way, and Naruto grabbed before throwing her over his shoulder hard, sending her flying and sprawling on the hard ground. Naruto frowned when he saw how disheveled she looked as she slowly stood back up. Hell would kill me if he knew this was happening right now. However, when she got up he saw a smirk on her face, kind of out of place for the situation she was in. Vivi started unbuttoning her blouse. You're even more powerful than I could have imagined. I've never seen you fight in person, but everyone keeps assuring me I didn't have a chance. You aren't even fighting for real at all, are you? Nope, Naruto said, but he was interested in what she was unbuttoning her shirt for. But what are you doing? Not that I'm not liking the way this is going. My secret weapon, Naruto, Vivi said before throwing off her blouse and skirt to reveal a skin-tight bodysuit with alternating swirl patterns on it. It had no sleeves and revealed much of her cleavage. It also stopped at her thighs, just short of where her white shorts had stopped at. The new and improved Miwaku no Memai captivating dizziness dance. Naruto's tongue lolled out of his mouth as he watched her with hearts in his eyes. Oh hell yes, it's improved. As captain, I recommend that be your permanent attire for the duration of your stay on my ship. Naruto started patting himself down as she continued. Damn it, where is my camera? I need pictures. Nojiko yelled at Naruto from her spot off of the battlefield. Naruto-kun, stop perving on Vivi. You're in the middle of a fight. Oi, Naruto shouted back with a trickle of blood running down his nose. I perv on every woman on the ship to a certain extent. And this is a completely legitimate attack she's using. Let her finish. Naruto turned back to Vivi. Go ahead, I'm paying attention, he said eagerly. Vivi stopped and turned around with a rain cloud over her head. It didn't work again. You aren't dizzy or disoriented at all. That was all I really had left. Naruto appeared behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder. No, sorry, it didn't work on me, but you know how you can fix that. Practice, and lots of it. And for you, I am willing to be your test subject for that technique anytime you want, he said with a thumbs up. Miss Valentine laughed loudly while Nojiko just stood shaking her head at the antics of her captain lover. Nojiko turned to the side to see how the others interpreted the fight when she saw all three of the other men stumbling around dizzily. Soren steadied himself on a rock before sniffing up a small trail of blood from one nostril. Holy crap, that move actually works. Yosaku gave up trying to keep his balance and simply sat down on the ground holding his head. I guess she wouldn't have tried it if she didn't know it would work. Wow. Johnny slumped against a boulder and slid to the ground. Okay, we're done. Naruto said to Vivi, you can get dressed and we can get back on board the ship now. I've seen all I needed to see to come up with something for you. Naruto handed Vivi her clothes and began walking away. I'll have something for you in a few days. I'll work on it later. Right now I'm tired. It's been a long 24 hours. XXX. The next day, out at sea, Miss Valentine frowned as she looked through the cupboards. We still need to make for land soon. We're running low on food again. She yelled from the kitchen that sounded all the way through the common area to Naruto's room. Got it. Naruto's voice echoed back. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. A few seconds after he said that, a Naruto clone walked out of the room and went looking for Nojiko so he could get info on their current bearings. Why didn't you just go yourself? Miss Valentine asked him from the kitchen. Meh, he replied from behind the door, I'm lazy today. Besides, I'm working on Vivi's training program. I already have yours finished. Miss Valentine walked over through the room and stood in front of Naruto's door. You do? Can I see it? She asked curiously before sticking her ear to the door to hear his reply. Nope, sorry, Naruto said, getting Miss Valentine to pout on the other side of the door. Not like he could see it. I'll introduce you to your first exercises when I figure out how to train you without sinking the ship. It wouldn't be that bad. Just let me have the instructions already. Miss Valentine said with a roll of the eyes. Naruto scoffed from inside of his room. Do you really think this ship can withstand suddenly gaining 10,000 kilograms? Do you really think this ship can hold 10,000 kilograms period? You can't swim, Miss Devil Fruit user, so do you really want to risk it? Silence was his only answer. That's what I thought. Though I do wonder how far you can float for with that umbrella you carry. Shivering at the thought of slowly falling into the sea while floating above it, Miss Valentine leaned against the door. Please don't say things like that. That thought isn't funny at all. She let out a cry of alarm as the door opened and she fell through into Naruto's arms. What was that for? She said testily with a blush as she saw the serious look on his face while he held her there against his chest. Naruto let her go and walked ahead. My clone saw a ship outside and were nearing an actual town as well. A ship, Miss Valentine repeated. Marines. She said as she followed him outside. Naruto shook his head as they made it outside. No, not Marines. It didn't have the insignia, or any insignia at all, but it might be pirates. The ship looks weird. Miss Valentine laughed a bit, weirder than a ship painted orange with blue trim. Naruto grinned wryly. I don't know. Do you think a ship that looks like a floating dessert tray looks weirder than this? He gestured back inside. Go get some of the others to meet me out here just in case. I don't know what's going to happen, so they should at least know what's going on. Miss Valentine gave him a playful fake salute. You've got it, Naruto. She disappeared back inside to fetch some of the others as instructed. Naruto walked up to the helm and hopped on the railing at the very front of the ship before making a clone to steer. So who would you be? He said to himself in question of just who this ship was and why they were heading towards him. A quick smattering of footsteps told him that others were quickly making their way up to him. He felt Miss Valentine drift over his back and wrap her arms around his neck. Light as a feather, I've got a few of them up here, Naruto. Her light voice danced in his ear as she held on to him. Naruto smiled at her. Thank you, Valentine. He said appreciatively. He turned around, still standing on the railing with Miss Valentine on his back, and began pacing along the rail as he saw all of the shipgoers up on deck. Okay, there's a ship getting closer to ours as you can tell, so I'm just saying to be ready for anything. Johnny punched the palm of his hand. Maybe it's those assholes from the other day. Naruto shook his head. Nope. Do you really think Eustace Kid and his crew would sail around on a ship that looks like a bunch of sweets? Johnny sweat dropped. Okay, never mind then. Yeah, Naruto said. Either way, I'm going over there by myself. When a unanimous chorus of whys went up from the others, he elaborated. Because out of all of you, only 4 out of the 6 of you I can trust to fight over there if it comes to it, and 2 of those 4 have powers from the fruit, making going over there and fighting unnecessarily dangerous, especially with the majority of you being hotheads, especially the guys on the ship. Soren frowned and pointed at the ship getting ever closer. So you're just going to go over there all by yourself and leave us here while you deal with a ship of possibly fully hostile and powerful people? Naruto grinned at the man. "Aw, come on. When you say that it makes me sound stupid." Naruto motioned to Nojiko. "You know the deal. You in Crow's Nest, cover me on the deck with the rifle. Keep Johnny and Yosaku on the cannons. Soren is here in case they board somehow. And we've got Miss Valentine to make sure Vivi's alright." Naruto ignored Vivi's yell of indignation at being written off like that. "I'll give you a signal if I need you to start firing." Nojiko nodded. "What signal?" she asked for the sake of knowing her cue. Naruto shrugged. "I don't know. It'll probably be something violent." "Alright Valentine, off my back." Miss Valentine did as she was asked to, leaving Naruto standing on the railing by himself. "I'll be back in a bit." With that, Naruto jumped onto the surface of the water, channeling chakra to his feet and sprinted out at the other ship. Nojiko took the rifle from off of her back. "Alright, everyone get to your positions." Vivi blinked as everyone took the spots that Nojiko had indicated. She herself climbed to the crow's nest to spot Naruto from above. Johnny and Yosaku rolled all 4 cannons onto the same sides of the ship and took aim with them per the written and drawn instructions for dummies Nojiko had posted on one of the cannons. Soren just leaned against the mast and stared out at the other ship, waiting patiently. And Miss Valentine grabbed onto Vivi's arm and took her inside. "You all have positions on the ship. What's yours?" Miss Valentine looked at the princess with her normal sunny expression. "My job is pretty much to ensure that parcels of interest are kept safe in certain situations." Vivi's brain processed that thought for a moment. "Wait. You're here to protect me?" she said with an odd look. "Kyahahaha." Miss Valentine laughed, confirming her previous statement. "I know. It's weird, isn't it? I was just trying to kill you not too long ago." XXX. The crew on the ship opposite of the natural disaster's crewmates all stared in interest at the trail leading through the water coming towards them. "What the hell is that?" one of the men asked the others as it got closer. "I don't know," replied another. "Someone should get the captain though. We were supposed to get her either when we got close enough to that ship to check it out or in case we were attacked." Before any response could be given, the trail in the water ended when a figure in front of it jumped into the air and landed right on board their ship. A slightly soaked blonde young man in an open red coat with short sleeves and black flames along the bottom was grinning at them, unnerving the entire crew with what had just happened. "Hi. Can I speak to whoever's in charge here?" One of the crewmen nodded and ran off inside of the ship to do so while Naruto leaned against the railing, looking over the crew. They all had clothes that were seemingly too small for them. Mostly clothing that consisted of small singlets, sweatshirts, suspenders, etc. A strange crew uniform, he had to say. "So is there a reason you guys were coming in hot at my ship just now?" "Who's the guy that got onto my ship?" a voice called out as the crew cleared the way for the origin of said voice. A young woman with long pink hair, purple eyes, bright red lipstick, and a piercing under her right eye came forward and stared at Naruto with her hands on her hips. She wore an open brown jacket, and underneath that wore a white top that revealed her stomach and a fair amount of cleavage. She also wore an extremely short pair of orange and black striped shorts with a buckle and suspenders worn over her shirt along with black high-heeled boots reaching her calf and brown and pink stockings with yellow suns on them. Naruto looked her over appraisingly before smiling. "I've got to say, I already like you a lot more than the last person I met on the Grand Line." The woman stared at him with an underwhelmed look on her face. "I'm going to ask you again. Who exactly are you?" A grin spread over Naruto's face. "I'm glad you asked me that." Naruto bit his thumb and made a quick series of hand seals, Kuchio's no jutsu, summoning jutsu. In a puff of white smoke, Naruto was now standing atop a large human-sized toad that was waving 2 fans about as Naruto did a series of one-legged hops on its head and stood still in a grandiose pose while kabuki instruments played in the background. "I am the man that brings both the men and the ladies to their knees, for completely different reasons mind you, the man that bends the very will of nature to his own, the greatest shinobi in existence, the immortal Toad Sennin, Uzumaki Naruto." The entire crew that had just borne witness to the spectacle stood there with their mouths wide open. XXX Nojiko had a large sweat drop on the back of her head as she watched Naruto's introduction pose for the first time through her rifle before pulling away from it. "I seriously can't believe he just did that. what the hell? I can't even imagine what he said to those people just now. She looked back down through it in case he needed help. You are so weird, Naruto-kun. XXX. The crew remained silent as Naruto sat down on the large toad's head and patted it with a grin. Well, Gamma, I would say that worked out perfectly. Look at them. He gestured at the crew. I either shocked and awed them or terrified them into silence. Good job. And with that he dispelled the toad. And you two clones, the timing in the instruments was perfect this time. The crew turned to where Naruto was looking and saw that he had replications of himself set up with instruments on the ship that bowed before disappearing in puffs of smoke. One man pointed at Naruto. What the hell is this guy? Toads and body doubles. That's not possible. Another spoke up. What kind of fruit gives someone either of those powers? This guy is unnatural. Naruto frowned. Hey, I am very natural, thank you very much. Superhuman feats of greatness don't make you inhuman, you know. The female captain walked forward looking Naruto over. Uzumaki Naruto, huh? She said as she paced around him a few times. That name is weird. I'm Jewelry Bonnie. You look awfully familiar. Naruto shrugged. He assumed that he did look slightly different from his wanted poster, especially since he wasn't covered in someone else's blood at the moment. I just have one of those faces, I assume. You know, dashing, breathtaking, ruggedly handsome features. You can stop me when I describe whichever one I am, he said with a toothy grin. Bonnie kept walking around him, observing him until she stopped directly in front of him and placed her hand directly on his face, running it up and down his cheek, confusing him. Give me a second to think about it, she said softly. Her crew smirked knowingly at the unfortunate blonde. After a minute of this, Naruto grinned at her. Okay, I give. What are you trying to do to me? His proclamation made Bonnie recoil, but she still kept her hand on his face. I know you're doing something. I can feel you putting chakra into my body, but I don't know what exactly you're doing. All I know is that it isn't working. What? The captain's power didn't work. I'll say it again. What the hell is he? Bonnie's face went back to normal. Well, if it doesn't work that way, then I'll try the other way, she said to him. Naruto's grin got wider. You have another way to get your powers to work. If the first way you used was to touch my cheek like this, I hope the other ways are more fun. After a few more seconds and a frown crossing Bonnie's face, Naruto gave her a deadpan look. This is the same exact way you used them the first time. Bonnie removed her hand from his face. Damn it. Why aren't you changing ages? I had my powers active long enough to turn someone your age into a senile old man or a drooling baby. Naruto's eyes lit up in realization. Oh, so that's what you were doing. Yeah, if you're trying to turn me into an old man, we'll be sitting here all day if it ever even happens at all, and even trying to turn me into a little kid would take longer than you could even imagine. How? Bonnie pouted, stomping her foot on the deck in a fit. All it should have taken was 10 seconds to turn you into a 5-year-old. You can't be any older than 20. Naruto furrowed his brow in thought. Hold on, so that would mean that you would have needed, like 300 seconds to turn me into a 5-year-old. He then grinned and rubbed the back of his neck. But I suck at math, and who knows how many years you already put on with your hand on my face, as long as it was the first time. Bonnie backed away from Naruto before slumping her shoulders in defeat. Oh fine, whatever. Take what you want. We can't beat you, just don't kill us. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why were you all gunning for my ship? Bonnie looked up at him to see a look of curiosity on his face. Well, we thought you were Marines and we were getting ready to fight with you because it was just one. Your ship looks just like a Marine model ship, just painted funky colors and with a weird flag. That's our Jolly Roger apparently, Naruto admitted, and apparently I need to get someone who can help me change the way the ship looks so this kind of thing can stop happening. He then looked at the crew who seemed scared of him. Why are you all afraid of me? Bonnie gave him an air. You stupid. Look, why are they scared? They're scared because you're Uzumaki Naruto, the seed of war, that can cause tornadoes, whirlpools, and tidal waves out of nowhere, the guy that single-handedly kidnapped the princess of Alabasta and destroyed entire cities all over the country. The man that single-handedly destroyed an entire company of Marines by himself. Why wouldn't they be scared? You're going to kill us. Damn lying newspapers. So his face isn't that well known, but his name is well known enough for other pirates to be wary of him. He could only imagine what it would be like when he got to town. I'm not going to kill you. Naruto said, why would I kill you? You didn't really do anything to me or my crew. Naruto turned back towards his ship and gave a gesture to calm down, signifying that everything was fine. He turned back to Bonnie and opened his mouth to speak when his stomach growled loudly. The crew looked at him strangely while Naruto just looked down at his stomach and held it with a weak look on his face. Damn, I haven't fully recovered yet and I didn't eat today. We were almost out of food. Bonnie blinked at him before a smirk crossed her face. XXX moments later, the crew of the natural disaster gathered on deck as Naruto came running back across the open water before coming to a stop on board the ship. Well, Nojiko said to Naruto, waiting for information on what had happened. Naruto shrugged, we're invited to a party with the crew I just met. There's supposed to be tons of food, I'm hungry, we're going. With that he walked back towards the helm and took over control of the ship with a casual look on his face. The others waited for him to speak on the matter further and were left waiting as he simply steered the ship with purpose and focus in his eyes. Vivi placed her hands on her hips and looked at the blonde steering the ship. That's it. Naruto nodded, not bothering to even look. That's it. He said simply. Wait. Soren said, speaking up for the majority of the Foxhound pirates. What crew? XXX hours later. Holy crap, Johnny said as the inside of a restaurant on the island they had docked at was full of raucous noise from the crew of pirates they had met along with the sound of ravenous eating. Yosaku rubbed his eyes and continued watching the spectacle. I didn't know a woman could eat so much. He was speaking of Jewelry Bonnie, who was swiftly clearing plates faster than they could be set down in front of her. Nojiko, Vivi, and Miss Valentine were watching her enviously. How can she possibly eat so much like that and stay so thin? Nojiko wondered, it's totally not fair, why does she have the killer metabolism? The other women nodded in agreement. Soren was watching as well with a sweat drop on his head. My question is, how in the hell is Uzumaki keeping up with her? I swear, both of them have to have bottomless pits for stomachs. Naruto was sitting right next to Bonnie, eating just as quickly as she was, but with a far more perturbed look on his face. Oi! Naruto suddenly shouted with his mouth full before grabbing a nearby chef that was putting more food out for them. This is an all-you-can-eat buffet, so where's the ramen? He asked, giving himself time to swallow his food. I haven't seen one drop of the stuff since I've been in here. The chef looked at the blonde fearfully. Sir, I don't really know what ramen is. He said shakily. Naruto let the poor man go and dropped his face on the table. No. He replied desperately. I was all excited to come here because Bonnie said it was the best restaurant in the whole region. How can it be the best place in the region when they don't serve Kami's personal divine dish itself, ramen? Bonnie chewed her food and looked over at Naruto. Ramen. I don't know what that's all about, but the only divine food I know is pizza. The young female captain said. Blasphemy, and I call you out on that. Naruto immediately replied. Until you've imbibed in the greatness of ramen you haven't tasted real food. He shouted. You would throw all of this other crap away if you could even taste ramen. He loudly assured her. Fuck ramen. Bonnie shouted back at him. Pizza. Don't fuck with me about this. Naruto stood up pointing a shaky finger. It's been months since I've even smelled the stuff, and I can tell you right now, I would kill someone with a plastic spoon in front of their own mother for a bowl of ramen, right now. Bonnie got right in Naruto's face. Do you want to fight about this? She threatened. Sure, let's go. Naruto replied back hotly. Your powers don't work on me, remember? I'd kick your ass from here to the red line before you could even blink. Gritting her teeth at realizing that he had a point, Bonnie shot back. Yeah, well, if you weren't using your powers I'd beat those stupid whiskers off of your cheeks. What are you supposed to look like anyway? Some otter of the sea or something? Taking offense to someone calling him out on his whisker marks because no one talked shit about the marks. They were sexy. Naruto pulled the sleeve of his sage coat up, spoiling for a fight. I'll show you an otter of the sea, bitch. Before the situation could escalate further, an explosion rocked the front of the restaurant, taking out the wall and knocking everyone inside to the ground. Recovering from the blast, Naruto stood back up rubbing his head. What the hell just happened? Bonnie was still on the ground with anime tears pouring from her eyes. My food, she said sadly. Who's the dead son of a bitch that ruined my meal? She asked angrily. From the smoke generated by the initial blast, a set of 3 figures were seen standing at the opening in the wall. All 3 of them were massive, standing 20 feet high with strangely proportioned bodies, large protruding chins, massive upper torsos and skinny by comparison legs. They had strange solid white eyes, gray hats with the impression of bare ears, curly black hair, black jackets with what appeared to be a crosshair on the front, brown gloves and white pants with brown spots on them. All 3 of them had a red glow in the centers of their eyes momentarily. Seed of War, Uzumaki Naruto. Bounty. 245 million belly. Orders. Immediate execution. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.